Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel. My name is Melissa and I'm the owner of SeasonandServeBlog.com. Today I'll be taking you on a tour of our kitchen garden and I'm going to be showing you what it looked like during the month of June. Over the past few months it's been fairly cold for our springs here on Vancouver Island and things have been fairly slow to start growing. However, all of our fruits, vegetables, herbs, and flowers are finally starting to grow with the slightly warmer weather that we have now. So if you want to see what our garden looked like this past June, just keep on watching. Okay, so we'll start off with our first garden bed, and as you can see, we have quite a few things going on in here. First up, I'll show you the peas that I'm growing on our trellis, and here I have a combination of sugar snap and snow peas. And I'm so happy to finally see the peas growing. We typically have peas ready by the end of April or beginning of May, but since it's been so cold, they actually came out in June this year. So they're a little bit late, but they are still super delicious. And these are just some of the peas I have planted. I have peas basically scattered throughout my garden this year, so I'll show you those when we come up to them. And next up we have our garlic, and in this garden bed I'm growing some red Russian garlic here, and these are just about ready to be harvested. I typically plant garlic in the fall and harvest them on Canada Day, so on July 1st. So these are just literally days away from being harvested and I'm so excited. We've also been enjoying the garlic scapes that have been growing on them. These are super delicious barbecued. And right next to our garlic we have our butternut squash plants, and these are taking so long to grow. I'm so upset, but they are starting to put on a little bit more growth day by day, so I'm just going to give them a little bit of time and see how they do. Same thing with our red curry squash. It is still fairly small, but it is growing new leaves every day and it has little blossoms on it, so that is very encouraging. However, the squash that has been the most successful so far has been our kabocha squash, and as you can see there are big beautiful leaves on it and it even has some flowers starting to form. So I'm very excited and can't wait for some kabocha squash to start growing. And next up in this garden bed we have our cherry tomatoes, and I have 5 different varieties planted in here and they are all just still growing, not growing flowers yet, but they will get there. So I'll update you when I'm seeing cherry tomatoes, hopefully in July and in August. Now we're going to move on to our second garden bed, and this is what it's looking like. It is fairly similar to the layout of the first garden bed because I did want them to be somewhat symmetrical, but we do have a couple different things in here. So the first plants I'm going to show you are our pepper plants, and I have a combination of purple peppers and some candy stripe peppers growing in our garden. This is nestled in amongst some other garlic, so the garlic is going to come out on July 1st and the pepper plants can grow and flourish in this area. As you can see, there's buds on it and they're looking so cute. And next to our peppers we have a trellis with some cucumber plants growing on it, or at least trying to grow. The plants themselves are super small, but there are little baby cucumbers growing, so I think it's just going to take a bit of time this year, but hopefully we will have some cucumbers soon. And on the back side of our trellis I actually planted some bush beans. And with bush beans they grow in a bush formation and they're not actually going to use the trellis, but I had a lot of empty space here so I decided to fill it in with beans, and as you can see they have come up and they are looking great so far. In this garden bed we also have some tomato plants growing, but instead of cherry tomatoes these are regular full-size tomatoes, and I have 5 different varieties growing in here as well. And as you can see we do have some tomatoes growing, and this is growing on my yellow tomato plant. It's super exciting when you first see tomatoes growing on your tomato plants because that is a sign that summer is here. I'm also growing some summer squash in this garden bed, and this variety is called Cue Ball. And as you can see, the flowers are actually fused together on multiple stems, which is pretty interesting. Never seen stems fused multiple times on a single plant, but it's very interesting and I want to show you guys, but there's nothing wrong with the plant, it'll still produce totally fine. I also have a surprise winter squash growing in here. It is a little gourd and it's actually going to look like that empty gourd right next to it because the seeds fell out of that and they decided to grow. So I'm very excited to see those grow and I can't wait to use them in decorations in the fall. I also want to share that instead of just growing vegetables in our kitchen garden this year, I actually interspersed a lot of things with flowers. And this is the first flower that I'll show you. This is a limoncello sunflower and I think it's absolutely beautiful. And I'm hoping this will help attract insects and pollinators to pollinate everything else in our kitchen garden. Now we'll move on to our third garden bed, and this is sort of themed as our fall garden bed / salad garden bed. So the fall aspect comes in with this corn. This variety is called Honey and Pearl, and we picked this up from a garden center not too long ago. When we first planted this, it took a while to actually get going, but I think as it's warmed up a little bit over the past few weeks, the corn has really started to green up and started to grow in height. And speaking of Pearl, here she is. She's sitting on our deck and watching me as I garden. I also have some beautiful chard and redhead lettuce growing in this garden bed, and I also started some more little gem lettuce and some romaine lettuce as well, but they are still really tiny. And right behind our lettuce and chard, we do have a row of potatoes that are growing and a whole bunch of spinach that has bolted and that I need to pull. I also have a trellis in this garden and I'm growing some shelling peas on it. So shelling peas are a variety where you actually have to let the peas grow inside and then you remove them from the pods. Never grown these before, but I'm very excited to try these out. And since this is a fall garden bed, I do have lots of sunflowers planted. These ones are called teddy bear sunflowers and they're super cool because they're really fluffy and you can actually eat the petals, which is super cool. I do have some other sunflowers that I just planted, so hopefully those will come up and be ready in time for fall. And our fourth garden bed also has a variety of different vegetables and fruits in it. And first up we have some zucchini. I have a combination of yellow zucchini and green zucchini, and they are finally starting to set their fruit and produce flowers. I also think that when you see zucchini starting to grow for the first time in the season, it is a definite sign that summer is on its way and we'll soon be drowning in copious amounts of zucchini. We also have tons of carrots growing in this garden bed, and I'm so happy to see them come up. The carrots actually like the cooler weather, so they have been doing fairly well, and I'm very pleased to see all these beautiful carrot tops. And just behind our carrots, we have some scallions growing. I have a combination of two varieties. One is called IFL and one is called Redbeard, and the Redbeard is a little purple at the bottom, so super cool. They taste really amazing. We also have some strawberries growing in this garden bed, and I picked up a bunch of different varieties from Proven Winners, and these are called the Buried Treasure strawberries, and I really like them because they had different colored flowers. The berries still all taste pretty much the same, but they are super pretty to look at. And as you can see, the berries are super small, but they are fairly tasty, and these are the first ones that we got for this year. Also in the back of this garden bed, I am growing some cauliflower. This I actually grew over winter and is finally starting to develop cauliflower heads. And also very surprisingly, we also have broccoli. I also overwintered this and I planted it I think in October, and just now it's starting to grow actual broccoli heads, which is amazing. It took a while, but it is super cool and I can't wait to have some of these. Last up in our raised garden bed area is our herb garden, and we have lots of amazing sage growing. This plant just took off over the spring months. I think it really liked the cool weather and the sage is definitely thriving. And right in front of the sage we have some parsley. It actually self-seeded itself from last year, so I was very fortunate that I didn't have to start parsley from scratch. And we also have borage. I planted one borage plant in here last year and they are everywhere now. So if you plant borage, just know that it's going to go absolutely everywhere. For me, I don't really mind that because I love the look of the flowers and the taste. They actually taste like cucumber, which is really cool. We also have some English thyme in our garden, and this is just thriving as well. Lots of flowers all over it, and the plant's actually doubled in size since the start of the spring. And I also have some rosemary. Now this was an amazing Facebook Marketplace find. I found this topiary for $15. That is right, $15. And I know if you bought that at a garden center, it would cost a lot more than that. So super happy with this and very happy to have rosemary back in my garden. That is it for the raised garden beds. So now let's go into the greenhouse and see what I'm growing in here. Now this year the greenhouse is predominantly pepper plants, and as you can see they are getting really big. They have been enjoying the heat in the greenhouse for sure, and some of them have even started to flower, which is super amazing. I have a variety of pepper plants that I am growing this year, from mild to very spicy. When I'm talking very spicy, I'm talking like ghost chili pepper spicy, because I do have 3 ghost chili pepper plants in there. We also have tons of jalapenos. I think I have 7 or 8 plants, and these are the ones that have started flowering. I am super excited. And in our last video, I also planted some beans, and as you can see, the beans have come up in the greenhouse. And that is it for the kitchen garden. Now let me show you the rest of our backyard. One of my plants that I haven't shown yet on my channel here is this beautiful olive tree that we picked up from a local garden center. This is an Arbequina olive tree, and this is our second year having it, and it has actually started to bloom. So it has all these little buds, and hopefully if those get pollinated, those will become olives. I think that is super cool, and I'm very excited to see if we get any olives. And right behind our potted olive plant, we have a bigger raised garden bed area, and here I have all of my San Marzano tomatoes. They are getting fairly big and fairly bushy, so I have been trimming them quite a bit, and we are seeing some flowers emerge, so tomatoes will be here really soon. We also have winter squash growing in this garden bed, and this first one is the black futsu squash. And we also have our Spectre pumpkin. This one's taking a little bit of time, but hopefully as it heats up, it'll grow bigger and bigger. I also have some runner beans growing because we do have a trellis here, so the runner beans are growing up on that, and Pearl loves sitting and watching the beans grow. I also have some shelling peas growing in this garden as well on the trellis, and just in front of that we have something very special. We have some cabbages that are growing. I overwintered these cabbages and they're finally starting to grow, and they are massive. So I put Pearl next to the cabbage so that you can understand exactly how big they are. And as you can see, these cabbages are bigger than her, which is crazy. But I'm very excited that these decided to grow, and I can't wait to see what they taste like. I also want to show you this taro plant that my husband's parents gave to us. This is actually going to grow some taro roots, which will be really cool. I've never grown it before, but I'm very excited to see if they actually grow. And next up we have our berry beds, and as you can see, they are looking a little bit wild, but they are coming along quite well. First up we have some raspberries, and these are the first raspberries of the season. Apologies that the image is a little grainy. It was getting dark out when I was filming this, but anyways, we have raspberries. We also have some amazing blueberries growing on our plants as well, and these blueberries look so good. They're just starting to turn a little bit purple, so blueberries are gonna happen really soon, and I am so excited. And the last garden bed in this June garden tour is our cut flower garden, and I planted a bunch of dahlias in here, and as you can see, they are starting to come up. Even ones that I planted just bare root in May have also started to come up as well, so very exciting, and some of them are getting some buds, so we're gonna have dahlias really soon. We also have some amazing peonies that are currently just finishing up blossoming in here, and we also have our first fig. We have a little fig tree here, and we only have one fig so far, but hopefully more will come shortly. And that is it for my June garden tour. If you enjoyed this video, please make sure that you hit the like button as well as the red subscribe button down below to see how our garden progresses over the summer months. And don't forget, if you're interested in any of the fruits, vegetables, herbs, and flowers that I showed in today's video, make sure you head over to my blog, as I do have a few blog posts dedicated to showing you all the different plants that I grew in my garden this year. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you in my next video.